Hey, what's going on, dude? So this is the final frame of the Avatar custom picture frame series that I did. Big thanks to Michael Matsumoto. Again, dude's awesome. Check him out if you want. Links are in the description. So this here frame has got a book-matched panel on the back. I went with cherry for obvious reasons. A little warmer, a little more aggressive, if you know what I mean. So as you can see, I resawed, I think that's the word. I resawed these down into 3 separate pieces so they're all the same thickness, and then I glued them together side by side in that cool mirrored arrangement. You can see that sapwood burst on one side, which is pretty neat. So once they were all glued together, I cycled them through the sanding grits, and then I just measured out the length of the frame and then squared off the top on the miter saw. At that point, the panel is done. Then I move on to the outer frame, which is made out of walnut. I decided to cut this first on the bandsaw, and the reason I did that is because I didn't have a whole lot of walnut that matched. So I cut 2 boards in half first on the bandsaw, and then I shaved them down to their final shape on the table saw after that. Once I had my 4 matching pieces, then I clamped those to the back panel, and then I just laid out my lap joints with a marking knife. Once I had my marks and I transferred those to all 4 pieces, then I just set the depth on my table saw sled and cut them out. So I must not have done a great job laying these out because I had a little bit of slop in the joint. You can see there's a little bit of movement there. Well, luckily I was able to find a pretty sophisticated solution. Anyways, after that I moved on to gluing the thing up, just brushed in some glue on each joint. Then I just kind of shimmied in that little walnut ribbon. Kind of goofed a little bit on this step as well. Went a little too hard with the router, and I was left with this skinny mutant sliver slice on the outside of the frame. But my quick solution to this, thankfully it wasn't going to be seen, was to just glue in some little walnut strippies around the whole outside of the panel, just to give it some extra stability in case it gets bumped or moved around or something. So once all that was done, then I actually set the panel inside the rabbited portion of the frame. Then I drilled some pilot holes, drove some screws in, just so I know where the position's going to be. Did a little pre-finish up to 350 again. And then I just brushed in a light layer of glue on the rabbets, set the panel in, and then drove in the screws. So now, at this point, the walnut frame is in, but we got to do the whole thing over again with the accent color, which is Padauk, obviously. So I'll spare you all the details on this frame because they're pretty much the same as the first one. The only thing that I'll say is that the size of this frame was designed to fit inside of the outer frame. So you'll see what I mean in a second. But other than that, it has a rabbit on the inside just like the first one. But that one is meant to hold both the glass and the artwork itself. So you can see what I mean. Once the frame is finished, then I can actually drop it inside of that outer frame. And then I flip it on its side and mark some holes to drill through the panel and into the frame. And then I secure it with some screws. At this point, the frame is basically done. I just needed to take off the inner frame and then very meticulously give everything about 3 coats of blonde shellac. Then of course, the moment of truth. Just like the other frames, drop in the glass, then the artwork itself, and then a piece of cardboard behind it, just to keep it snug. Then shot in my points with my point shooter. Dropped it in, and look at that. At this point I had to be careful because it's still loose in there, it's not fastened. So I lay some cardboard down, very carefully flip it over, and then drive in the screws. This is the only frame out of the 4 that didn't need a dust cover on the back because of that panel. But as a final step, I just screw in those 2 D-rings on either side, weave in some picture wire, and then crimp it together. If you're still watching and you haven't seen the other 3 videos, I'm going to link to that playlist in the end screen here in a little bit. Links to those videos are also in the description. If one of these frames was your favorite out of the series, you can let me know in the comments. I do actually read them. And with that, I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much again for watching. Really goes a long way. I'm just a small creator still, so every little bit helps. Be safe, and I'll talk to you next time.